Welcome to Studio One. If you like what you see, like and subscribe and comment.
So my name is Mike from Studio One. So glad to have you here. We're a music interview show, and we focus a lot about artists' backgrounds and careers and inspirations. So glad to have you here, Toronto's Prince of Bedroom R&B. Can you
Wow, that's a
introduce
title.
yourself? That's your Spotify title.
Oh, thanks.
Can you
I didn't
introduce?
even write that. I didn't even know.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember now. I had someone write
Yeah.
that for me. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Can you introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, so my name is Sylo Nozra. I think in the near future, I might just go by Sylo, but for now, it's Sylo Nozra. And I've been making music for almost 10 years. I've been dabbling in music for way longer, but I think I started Silo when it was 2016. Yeah, 2016 is when I started this project, but I've been writing since I was like 13. Prince of R&B, bedroom,
Dream pop.
dream pop, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's my occupational title
Yeah.
officially. In any documentary that you see with my face in it, that's going to be at the bottom.
Right.
You know how you watch some documentaries, it's just such stupid like titles. Like, you ever seen those? You had to make fun of them. I don't know. I can't think of any right now.
I was gonna connect to myself. So I used to, and I still have some accounts called Ozora Ultra. So Ozora is actually from the Toyota 86. There was a blue sky edition in Hanji
Oh,
and
cool.
Kanji and Ultra from Ultraman, because Ultraman was a big part of my childhood. So what
Okay.
is the name for silo? I looked up your Hangul and it just means like a grain silo. It was like the phonetic translation. What is the
Right.
story
Yeah, a
behind?
lot of people will say it's like, oh, are you like the missile silo or like a grain silo?
Never thought about missile silo.
Yeah. Um, there's no, that's cool. Thinking back retroactively, retrospectively thinking back on that, I should have actually done sort of that kind of thing like you did, where I tie something to something close to my heart or something from my childhood. But nope, didn't do that. To me, it just sounded cool. I think I remember watching a Netflix show, and it was a show with Ricky Gervais,
Yeah.
and I think it was called Derek.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen that one, but he plays. I think he plays a guy kind of. I think he's kind of on the spectrum, but like just he's kind of odd in a lot of ways, but it's just super nice and like wears his heart on his sleeve, and everyone loves him. But he gets to, he gets taken advantage of, like most often people like that do, with a lot of villainy out in the world. And yeah, one of the characters' names I remember, he works at a seniors home, so one of the seniors' names was Silo with a Y, and I was like, that's a really cool name. I've never seen that. I just really like how that sounds. And then Nasra, I was and still am into just anything that just sounds kind of like Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love, my favorite letters are like a Z and like S.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that's deeper than.
Nasra just sounded cool to me, and I just said it to myself over and over when I came up with it, like Sylo Nozra, Sylo Nozra.
Yeah.
I was imagining like people like J Bro
Mm-hmm.
saying it, or like people in the crowd, or like fans, or whatever, just saying Sylo Nozra. Like, that rolls off the tongue. It sounds cool. I'm going to use that. So it's been that since. But I think for a lot of people, when they see it or they hear it without even actually seeing what it's spelled out as, they're like, what did you just say? You sound like you're speaking a different language, like Sylo Nozra. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean?
Right.
So I think I might just go with Silo in the near future.
Yeah, I had a short mind too. I just go by Oz Ultra now, if anything. Uh, but
I like your handle. I like your handle is
thanks,
cool. Like
man.
Gino Hill. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I that was kind of random. It was just because I was a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of the guys like Jonah Hill and Zach Galifianakis, like they're weird kids that that usually don't get in the limelight. I connect to them a lot more.
Mm.
So
I remember you explaining me about that when we first met in front of that film house, that film
and
studio. Yeah,
rental house, yeah.
exactly. I think that was the last and only time we've ever seen each other in person.
Oh yeah, for sure. I met you during a performance. I went to one of your performances, said hi. But that was like the one and only time we really talked. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that day really specifically. I think that was when we were renting a camera for Citrus.
Mm.
Yeah, with me and Martin.
In the pandemic, walking and biking around, I finally got to know Toronto better. Every neighborhood seems like a different country. So I lived a lot of my life in Agincourt, Scarborough. It's where I still am. What is it like growing up in Thornhill?
Um, I would imagine not too different from growing up in Agincourt, Scarborough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing it's pretty suburban there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Immigrants. Yeah.
so it's pretty suburban where I grew up. Well, I grew up most of my childhood, like my early years in downtown Toronto and Koreatown, Christie and Bloor. I remember a lot of those years, but very like those are my earliest memories. So they almost feel like distant dreams to me in that sense. But like, yeah, moved up Thornhill when I was about 7 years old. And from grade 1 till grade 8, I lived in Thornhill. And that was, yeah, it was pretty fun. A lot of white people, a lot of, not just white people, but like it was pretty ethnically diverse. But like compared to living downtown, I felt like it was a little more suburban, white, a lot of good memories, a lot of bad ones, but it was relatively pretty easygoing, I think. I think I would have had a way different life if I grew up downtown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't even imagine who I'd be or what I'd be like now. So yeah, but I'm thankful for how everything turned out and where I am now. So, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way. How about you? Do you like living in Scarborough?
It's really comfortable. Yeah. Once I get close to home, I can breathe. I've really never really known anywhere else. I have fantasies of going to, I don't know, just like somewhere else. Big fan of LA. I'll have a lot of LA questions for you, but
Okay, cool.
so
Save those then. But you want to live downtown ever? Do you ever want to think of going downtown?
yeah, I am. Yeah.
You're going to, or you do want to?
I'm looking, and yeah, I wouldn't really, if I were to move anywhere, it'd be downtown, just to get a sense.
West or east side? West or east side?
I know friends of West Side, so probably West Side.
Yeah. I'm an east side boy.
Yeah, beaches?
No, that's too east. I'm like Crack Corner, Dundas and Jarvis, Moss Park, you know?
Yeah.
Where you hear the screams of souls late at night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know there.
Yeah.
Martin told me a few stories about.
Oh yeah, Martin used to live here too.
Yeah,
I think he's witnessed people getting off, but we won't talk about that.
Right. So you mentioned in an old interview that classical and gospel music were huge musical influences. Which composers were your favorite?
Oh, that's a hard question. Gospel. See, that's the thing, is that like I grew up listening to my sisters and my parents' music. I never really like paid attention to what artists they were listening to. I don't have those stories where like people were playing like records on a record player. Like I don't, you know, my parents or my sister didn't have a record player or any records in that matter. It was always just like my sister blaring music or me going to church and hearing it. It was just like kind of always happening, but I never paid attention to who it was. But I did always sort of put together the patterns of like, oh, I heard that song before, or, you know, and just kind of also putting in the box of like, oh, I've heard this kind of music or this kind of singer or this kind of like feeling. It was more about feelings. So I know that makes me sound like I've never actually listened to any of it because I can't name any artists. It's like someone saying like, "Oh, I'm into hockey," and then they get asked, "Who's your favorite hockey player?" You know?
No,
But
I'm
like,
horrible with names. I just usually work with like I don't really even know the lyrics, so I'm totally understand that.
exactly. Like I never paid attention to lyrics really until I was in high school,
Yeah.
you know, until I started dating someone and she was like on the exact other side of listening to music, consuming music solely for the lyrics first before the music. For me, it was always the music and then lyrics after if they happen to be catchy. But if usually like, I don't know, listening to rap or indie rock, or whatever, like either the rap was too fast and I was just listening to the rhythm and the flow and the cadence to how they're rapping, or I was listening to indie rock and can't even hear the lyrics most of the time anyways.
There's a
You
lot of
know,
yeah, there's a
you're
lot
just kind of
of
like,
perspective.
just sing along. But for her, it was like, if I don't like the lyrics, no matter how good the music is, I can't listen to it. And like for the first time in my mind, I was just like, boof, I can't believe there are people like this. I thought everyone consumed music like me. So that was pretty crazy. And from that day on, I started paying attention to the lyrics more, which is funny because I started writing music before I met her, and I was still consuming music in this way. So when I look back and I was like, okay, what kind of lyrics was I writing then if I didn't really care about lyrics anyways? It was just like vague enough to be openly interpreted in many ways, but really it was BS, you know? It was like I had no idea what I was writing. You know? I had no idea what I was saying.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah. That was a problem that I always ran into when I was younger. Writing music was like I didn't know what I wanted to write about, or like what I was just like I wanted to express myself through the music and the feeling rather than like the words. But nowadays it's the words that come first for me for sure.
Mm. Oh, so it has changed, yeah.
Definitely. It has, yeah.
So you first started making rock music, if that's correct. And what kind of rock music did you play when you first got started? In
Um it was like emo punk, you
oh,
know,
cool.
the era of like 2008 to like 2013, 2008, 2012 or 11. I'd say 11 was when I was like just writing for the first time, getting my feet wet. When I first started, it was emo punk because I was listening to like, you know, Blink 182 and Green Day. It was so formative for me because it was my first time getting into music that I was choosing for myself. So if you ask me what artists I was listening to back then I can name it because for the first time I was consuming music that wasn't coming from someone feeding it to me. You know,
Yeah.
there wasn't that transfer happening. It was just like straight to the source for me. It was direct. So, um, yeah, that's when I wanted to get my feet wet in writing, and the first sounds and lyrics were like very emo, very rock. It was in middle school. I remember performing the song with my band for the first time ever, performing like any original music. And oddly enough, I wasn't nervous about that. I don't have any memories of being nervous about it. I think I was just fearless always back then. I was just always like overconfident, which led me to, you know, learn a lot of lessons. But anyways, I remember performing, and then one of my teachers came up to me and was like, "You have an English accent when you sing." I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And it was because I was listening to like all these emo punk, like Blink 182. Like when he sings, like "Hello there," you know, he just like sings with that accent. So like took that on a little bit, and I was singing with that accent. Even like Billy Joel Armstrong from Green Day, is, "Do you have the time?" You know, it's like it sounds like they have a British accent, but I guess that's because their influences from British bands like The Clash and like, you know, Sex Pistols and Ramones and whatever. So like they took that on and it came and transferred down to me.
I've never made that connection. The first band I listened to was Green Day, Simple Plan, and yeah,
Oh,
I thought it was like a punk cadence or something.
Yeah, it's the punk cadence. I never really thought of that till I talked about it right now. That's, yeah, I think that's my theory. Let's go with it.
Sweet. So which artists inspire you right now?
Which artists inspire me right now? Honestly, that's the thing, is like the way I've always consumed music, and it's even affected me to this day. It's like I'm just always kind of listening to everything, a whole bevy. And I'm actually looking for more inspiration outside of music these days that I can incorporate into my music. Visual artists, fashion designers. Like when I'm making music these days, I have a whole playlist on my YouTube of like the 2021, 2020, 2021 winter season of the Gucci runway show, playing.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching that, and I'm just like, how do I use this to my advantage, to like the feeling that they're evoking with the way they're dressed and the sets. And these sets, especially during the COVID ones, are really extravagant and really well thought out because, they had to do it virtually.
Yeah.
So like, I think my favorite one is like the 2021 or 2020 Louis Vuitton winter season video. And it's got Yassim Bey, Mos Def performing in it, and this other poet. And it's just like really cool to just see that. And while they're performing, all these models are walking, and they got the dopest shit that they're wearing, and like the coolest sets. Like, where do these places exist? It's like it's like the Matrix. It's like this insane set that like, how did they do that? But anyways, I'm ranting, but I can't really say on any individual artist. Like if you looked at my Spotify artists, I have, my like living God not a decade ago, but like half a decade ago, when I first started really getting into like, what is Sylo Nozra? I would have said Frank Ocean. I'm a ride or die for Frank Ocean, but I can't say that I'm in that space anymore. And I'm like really looking at everywhere I can, to find inspiration. And these days, while I'm in album mode, I hardly listen to music. I hardly listen to music that's contemporary. At least that's even in my genre that I make. A lot of the times these days, when I feel like listening to music, which is very rare nowadays, it's mostly podcasts and YouTube documentaries on musicians instead of actually listening to their music. Like I just watched one on Tyler the Creator last night. It's like unraveling the genius of Tyler the Creator or whatever. That's what it was called, by Jay Aubrey. And just wanting the insight more into the process instead of like what the end result is. That's what I'm really interested in these days, and that's where I'm getting a lot of my inspiration. So yeah
I watch a lot of like crime YouTube documentaries.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah, it's just anything to really escape.
Yeah, have you seen The Serpent yet?
What's that?
It's the Netflix show, like #2 in Canada right now, but it's based on that French serial killer. He was a French serial killer who killed a bunch of people in the 70s, which is like the golden era for serial killers.
Right.
That was like the last era. That was the last decade you could just like literally be off grid and kill someone, and be off grid and go off grid and kill as many people as you wanted, because they didn't have any DNA, and like, what is it? DNA technology or whatever, forensics, that's what they're called. But yeah, he killed a bunch of people in Southeast Asia, like a bunch of travelers, and took their passports, and even like pretended to put his pictures in their passports and traveled as them, and like it was just crazy. And who knows how many he killed, but like he was a narcissist, and it was really interesting because after he even got caught, like once he was free, he even went back to those like countries where they still wanted to arrest him because he killed in so many different countries. So like literally like all these different countries were waiting their turn to like take him to court. And once he got out of one court or one jail, one prison, he was such a narcissist that he was like, oh, like I want that spotlight on me again.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to get into it because I know I'll be committed straight. I'll dive into it.
I finished it in 2 days for sure.
Yeah. So, but for sure, based on that, that's right up the alley.
I even know, like, I know what you're talking about, that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I have to like get stuff done. And like when I really feel that, but I know I have to finish something, because that's also like my obsession, is that I need to like finish a show or like finish something, a book or whatever, before I move on, especially if it's good.
Yeah.
Even if it's not that good, I still have to do it. And so like for Netflix shows these days or like movies, I watch it like on faster speed, because that they started putting that in.
Yeah.
You know, you could only do that on YouTube, which I've always done, but they started doing it on Netflix. So now I watch it at like 1.5 speed or whatever. And it's, but you could like still read the captions and the subtitles. So like whatever.
Yeah.
Totally ruining it, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't do 1.5. Yeah. So your family is from Korea. Was 2012 the first time you went back home to Korea?
No, I actually went, I think in 2006. That was my absolute first time. I won a talent show in Toronto, a Korean talent show. I got second place actually, but I got People's Choice. And for the first and second place winners, they were offered to compete in the higher upper echelon talent show in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So we went, and I competed there, and I think I got like fourth place or something in that one. But I remember I was really nervous for that one. I was in a new country. It was way bigger. I don't even know if there were higher stakes. I don't even remember what you would have won, but I was just nervous. I remember I was just really nervous for that. But that was, yeah. I love Korea. Korea is so awesome. The last time I remember truly, like the last time I went, 2012, was like obviously my real experience of going and like experiencing like the whole, you know, cultural significance of it, and meeting my family, a strange family that I've never met before, staying with them, learning their ways, and even fighting with them at times, because, you know, just culturally I'm just so different. Obviously growing up here, and like Koreans from Koreans, like, you know, they can get pretty judgmental, and like it's just very different. It's very obtuse, their culture sometimes. It's very conservative in a lot of ways. You know, you can't be openly, as far as I'm concerned, last time I checked, you can't be openly gay there. And like sort of that dimension still exists, where it feels like feels like they're still behind a couple of decades than especially in Canada. I think they're becoming way more progressive as everything is like obviously globalizing. But 2012 was like, you know, when I went there and I was listening to their R&B and their hip hop and their K-pop, it was like this music felt like it was from like early 2000s. It felt Y2K for me.
Yeah.
But now it's like everything's sort of becoming up to date, you know. Everything is starting to like really come together. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go there again soon. But before I go there, before any Asian country I go to, I want to go to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my goal.
Like especially now, like I just want to get as far from here as possible. So
same.
Yeah, Japan, and
let's go.
Not even Tokyo, just like Hokkaido or something. Just
let's
like
go. I want to like starve myself for like 2 days and then go to like those sushi belt conveyor restaurants.
Right.
And just like stack up my plates yay high
as it comes to
exactly. Just like yeah, I saw this mukbang of this girl doing that. She like went to this place by herself and like literally just stacks of sushi plates. It was just like crazy. Like where does that all go? How do you do it? But
yeah,
one of my goals. But I'm scared now after after watching Seaspiracy. I don't know how I feel about eating seafood anymore.
Oh, I won't be bothered. Mercury poisoning,
Microplastics, you don't care?
declassified, like incorrectly classified fish. Like I want to care, but I really don't. I like put in my
You're not scared of like eating microplastics and shit?
um I drink bottled water a lot. Like I do a lot of risky stuff. Um,
You live on the edge, bro.
you can be talking out of
Bottled water.
it. You can talk me out of it, but it'll take a lot. It'll take a lot. Like
Have you watched the documentary though?
I started it, I think like, and
Yeah,
then
check it out.
it's like, oh, this bums me out. Okay, okay. Got it.
Exactly. Hear no evil, see no evil.
Yeah.
Just ignore it and just keep living. Yeah. I mean, honestly, nowadays, I think that's the better route. You don't want to learn everything. You don't, honestly.
Yeah, let's put this whole thing over with and then go back to worrying about the environment.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
For me, that's right now. I'm like,
exactly.
yeah. So when we first met in person, we talked a lot about dating. How is dating for you right now?
That's kind of personal. I won't go too into it.
I realize, but like generally, like, is it all Zoom dates or like how?
Zoom dates. Wow. I didn't even know that was an actual thing.
Oh,
I didn't know like Zoom sessions
yeah.
of music, but Zoom dates. Wow. No, I never was the type to like go on dates.
Mhm.
That was never me. I'm definitely like more of like a relationship guy, even though my longest relationship never lasted for more than a year.
Mhm.
But just the way I meet people and get together with them, it was never like I've never had Tinder, I've never had Hinge, I've never gone on these things. I've never like gone up to someone at a bar and be like, hey, like I think you're attractive, you want to go out with me? It's never been that. It's always been through like mutual friends or like, knowing someone mutually through Instagram,
Mhm.
liking each other's photos, and like obviously like there's some chemistry or something, like you have a conversation and it's going well. And then like, but at that point it's like I'll never ask them out unless it's like I actually want to like be with this person on that level. It's never been like, oh, let me go on a date with this person even though I have no idea if I'm going to like them or not.
Mhm.
Most people do that if they're like trying to like
Mhm.
get with them,
Yeah.
never call them again. But like it's never been for me. I like getting to know someone to the point, if I'm going to ask them out on a date, to the point where it's like we have really good chemistry, let's see where this goes. And it probably will go somewhere because I'm also very deathly afraid of rejection and failure in that sense. So I'll never ask someone out if I'm not sure that they'll say yes.
That's a good
That's
strat.
like my rule. Cause like, again, like I've had friends who like go up to random girls on the streets and like bars and like asking them out and whatever, and then getting rejected. I'm like, how do you deal with that? Like
Slash fear. Yeah.
that is death defying to me. That is like you are really living on the edge. So like when it comes to wanting to get with someone, it's like I need to know that like all these signs are like checkpointed. It's like, yep, she said hey with 5 Y's. Like, like
I
all
don't know
these
if that
things.
works anymore, but like you said, yeah. Like, I'm saying like with the hey thing.
All these nuanced things, they're all signs, man. They're all signs. And
I
like
used to read signs and then like
you need to be very afraid of rejection to know these signs.
oh totally. I'm probably more afraid than you, but I like to tell people that I've exhausted my options, like like the friends, family of friends, mutual friends, and there's probably a few people that I could ask out, but like
Yeah. But that's also, again, pertaining to your question, it is very hard right now to like meet new people,
yeah.
you know. Um, yeah, like I can't imagine what it's like for people who are used to dating, and like everyone that they're trying to talk to is just like, oh, like we need to have a Zoom date because like I'm too scared that I'm gonna get COVID from you because you're literally a stranger, you know? So it's weird. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard times for sure. And I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone who's like feeling lonely right now for sure in some way or another. I think we all feel lonely in a lot of ways. Yeah. But I think this is also the blessing that like the blessing in disguise, the silver lining, that reality and our sort of world has appointed this opportunity to like really get to know ourselves, and like really, when they say like, how can you love anyone else if you don't love yourself? That's really in the truest sense so true. It's such a truth. And you will only really realize that like when you do just like take on that, it's almost that feeling like when you take a cold shower and it's like you hate it and you don't want to do it but you feel so good after. That's like kind of what love is, like loving yourself is, it's like you got to just embrace the shock, embrace the cold, embrace the dark, the bad, the ugly, like everything, and really accept yourself, and then you will truly shine. And that's when like everyone describes you as like the light in the room, like he lights up the room, like he's just like living it up. That kind of energy is like when one truly loves themselves, whether or not they're with someone, when their cup is full and they're willing to share that fullness with someone else who's hopefully their cup is also full and they're just overflowing to each other. Because if they're not, then that's going to be bad news. Like I've had my experience with that too. Not saying that my cup is full in any means, I still have a long way to go, but to a level I am like very happy, and I've got my own routine, and like I know myself in that sense. Like I know how to be my own best friend, and like being with people who take that away from you can be super toxic and super draining. And really, like as you get older, it's just like you don't have the patience for that. You're not there to feed them with a bib, to spoon feed them, and show them the exact steps of like how to find themselves, because I don't know, like you're your own person, you're going your own journey, like find your own path, but you gotta, again, like take that cold shower approach and really just dive in and like not look for distractions and, or get distracted or like find self or short gratification from outside of yourself, But sorry to go so deeply into it, but that's like my whole life. That is like my priorities in life is like family, music, and self-growth, like self-love, because that is a lifelong endeavor. So yeah, sure. I hope just as important as exercising is, in media culture, when it wasn't a decade ago or decades ago, when people in the 70s used to see running as like a joke. It was like, who runs for fun, but now it's like you need to like do these things, like try to do these things to feel good. You are what you eat, whatever. And like I hope in the next years or decade, meditation is just as important. Because to me, meditation is just, or if any, it's more important than actual exercise, because you're working out the most important muscle in your body. That's your brain.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump right into that. I have a question about it. So you mentioned in the past interviews that you've suffered from depression and you were able to climb out of it by finding yourself and with the help of music. My main source of suffering was constantly rejecting the expectations others set for me, and I fixed a lot of it by understanding, accepting, and embracing myself, and I'm still working on it. How is your mental health recently?
Yeah, it's been definitely tested because of the pandemic for sure. but I've never actually meditated as much before either. You know, I'm meditating almost on a good day 4 hours a day, and usually on average 1 to 2 hours. You know, usually after I eat, or in the morning after I eat, and before I go to bed. So right now it's pretty stable. Right now my mental health is pretty stable, but like, of course, when it gets bad, it gets bad. But again, the part of the process of like learning to love yourself and being your own person and finding finding the best friend in you is knowing the inner workings and knowing the patterns, knowing the behavioral sort of arcs of what's going to happen when you do go into a bad place, or when you go in a happy place, when you're happy and you're feeling good, and you're like, you can kind of tell the nuanced sort of signs that come when it's like you're coming down from it, or like whatever, or vice versa, you know, when you're about to go into like sort of phase of depression or anxiety or whatever, and you don't want to do anything, you don't want to go out, get out of bed and stuff. Like, I think these days I'm learning to cope with them and manage them much more efficiently, to a level of manner where I'm getting back to baseline way quicker. And that's like, again, what meditation is all about for me, is finding balance. It's finding peace, contentness, you know, neither too happy and joyful nor too sad and angry and hurt. You know, it's finding the balance, and it's learning to embrace both sides, and like letting life flow completely and unfiltered and unadulterated through you. And that's like, yeah, I think that's what nature is. You know, people see nature as like this cruel and savage thing, or they see this as like life-giving and blah, 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 but it's like, it's both, you know, it's the light and the dark, everything. So you got to embrace it all if you want to find peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well put. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch gears. Yeah, that was really, yeah. Everything so far has been amazing. Yeah, really good. Like, I really like how you're so open with everything. Maybe it's because I'm me and I'm special. I open, I get it out of you, but
I think so. I think in a way you do. I usually feel much more like, I guess, careful with my words, and I overthink, but I feel very open, and I feel very at peace with you. I think it's because I don't feel too judged, you know. That's a good thing. I think that's a really good thing, is to not ever feel like you're being judged or overanalyzed by people, because that's what like makes you go into like that whole inside yourself and you hide. But
yeah, you just like,
very good skill to have as an interviewer, right?
you just imploded my ego for a second. My ego's exploding right now. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
It's with love.
Yeah, it's love, man. So let's switch gears. So Martin, so I met Martin and I worked with him on a video once. So he's incredible, fantastic. He's your video guy, he's your editor, handsome boy. How did you meet Martin?
I think I met him mutually through a friend when we were looking to do a video with me and Leo. Leo Desi is this French producer that I've worked with, and he's part of, I guess, the squad. And we had a song together. It was called Undone, and we were looking for people to do the video, and it was Martin and Jonah Haber, I think is his name. Haber. And we shot it in one night, and you know, super DIY, super lo-fi, super like whatever. We rented like the most expensive thing that we rented was like the car that was in the video. It was like this old manual Honda from like the 80s that was like, it was top down, and like it was all black, and it was really cool. But after that, I was looking for a director to direct my first music video for Sylo Nozra, which was Divine. And so Martin again came in, and it sort of just naturally converged. Our our lives in that sense, where we were starting to build this universe together. And like by FOMO, that's when we were really vibing. That's when we really understood each other's tastes. And I was able to trust him and he was able to trust me. And of course, it helps that he's a fan of my music as well, as much as I'm a fan of his style and his videos. So that's sort of like, again, how the universe sort of provided for both of us to be in each other's lives in that sense. And like, you know, I feel the same with my manager and like the people, everyone on my team right now. It's like, I feel like a Pokemon trainer. I'm like going to like different gyms and I'm like becoming friends with them. I'm like, oh, I have my Rock, I have my Misty, you know, like, you know what I mean? It's just like the universe just like kind of handed them. And I was like, thank you. This is a blessing. And like, we're still working together, still going strong. And yes, he's doing a lot more than just directing and more than just like a videographer. In a lot of ways, he's like creative directing, you know, and like once we get on the road and doing tours again, I'm sure he's going to be involved in like set designs and like even filming, you know, like live shows and like all that kind of stuff. And like, yeah, blessed to have him. He's a great guy, and to many more videos and works prospects in the future.
Yeah, many more memes together.
Many more memes, exactly.
So in that sense, your label Mukposh was that also kind of organic, the way that?
So that's the management label that I'm with.
Mm-hmm.
My actual label is called Mud Mask Recordings.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not very active yet, but once I get everything sort of really on high momentum, I think I'm going to start looking for like other artists to sign and stuff and just kind of make it into a real label, but like working hand in hand with Mukposh, of course. Mukposh was started with my manager. It was started by my manager, Dimitri. Now I think he co-owns or co-runs it with Michael Powell, who I also met by divine providence. And he was the grant writer for my 2018 grant from Factor. And we just became really good friends since then. And yeah, they run it together. They're working us, me, Goldchain, Leo, Maddie J, and helping a little bit with Amare, that she's the new artist from Ghana who's really been popping off this year. She has a really dope album. Anyone who hasn't listened should check it out. It's called The Angel You Don't Know. Yeah, it's super, super cool. But yeah, that's the story behind them. And I was really opposed to the name Mukposh. I thought it sounded so stupid. I don't know who came up with that. But it is what it is, and I've accepted it, and I embrace it, and I'm under the umbrella of Mukposh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into LA stuff. So I have a lot of LA questions for you, because looking at your stories, you go there quite a lot. So how is traveling to LA in the pandemic? Is it the same as Toronto with their COVID restrictions?
No, actually. I've only been once this year, or since the pandemic started. I came back from it literally when Toronto had its first lockdown back in last March or April. I came in literally like the week before the lockdown was instilled, which was crazy. And then I didn't go until November to shoot Why Are You Back? But that was for like San Francisco and stuff. And I was pretty surprised. I went there and I thought like, oh, this is America. Like no one cares. Like everyone's probably just like walking around without masks on and shit. And so I went for a run. As soon as I landed, I put on my workout gear and I ran, because like my manager used to live around this area called Silver Lake, and it was around this reservoir, and it's about like 2-3 miles the whole way. So it was just a good run. I especially loved it at like dusk, sunset. And I go down there and everyone's wearing masks. Everybody, I'm not wearing one. I'm just like, oh shit. And I'm just like self-conscious now because like I'm running past people and I'm like heaving and like people are wearing their masks and they're like looking at me because I don't have my masks on. They're just like, how dare you? Like they have that look on. And it's just like, wow, like I feel self-conscious. Like y'all are doing it better here than Toronto, you know? But I guess that was because of like the area that I was in. It's sort of like, you know, it's nicer, that area. So everyone's a little more conscious. But yeah, it's been hard because I've never had to stay here longer than like 3-4 months at a time.
Mhm.
And, you know, I've only gone abroad once. So this is definitely testing for me. But it's also a blessing because I moved downtown to my own place
Yeah,
as of last year, April.
nice.
So um, yeah, like I had my hot boy summer last year, even though it was COVID, but I still had it. It was still fun. Probably gonna have it this year too. But as soon as I get my vaccine, I'm gonna go back again, go to LA, and try to get the show back on the road and do some shows.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Have you considered living in LA?
I have. I have considered living there, and I still am considering.
Mhm.
I never really, if I am gonna live somewhere like that, I'd like live somewhere abroad. Um, I don't think I'm gonna like live there. I think if I'm ever able to afford living in LA, then I would rather spend some time here and there and just go back and forth. Maybe like spend 6 months here, 6 months there. How I ideally always visioned for myself was never to get like one big house, at least for now, until maybe I have a family. But like how I want to live is instead of like having flats here, London, LA, you know, and just like going back and forth because I love traveling and I love just being in different places all the time. And like that really fuels my art and that really fuels me as an artist. So yeah, I think if you asked me that in the near future, it'd probably be the same. I'd probably say I'd rather just go back and forth. But for now, I enjoy living here.
Yeah. Is the culture, I guess, diversity similar in there? Um,
Yeah,
seems pretty
yeah,
similar. Yeah.
pretty similar. Um, it just feels different though. Like even when I go there, like I always joke about like, oh, like LA Sylo was here again, you know, like
Right.
I feel like a different person because it's just the weather there, you
Yeah.
know, it's the weather that makes you feel like a different person. It's dry, it's warm. It's not here when it gets warm. It's not humid and gross and you have to take 5 showers a day. It's like dry there. So you're not sweating, but you're warm and it's 30 degrees and the sun's shining and every day it's basically sunny.
Hmm.
And like I guess the energy there is just different. The energy is just different, you know. So people are definitely like it's different there for sure. Like people do act different, um, but not in a good like in a better or a worse way. It's just different,
Hmm.
you know. And I think I'm sure everyone would change a little bit if they moved over there
Hmm.
or if they stayed there for long periods of time and they come back here. But it's funny, like when I stayed there for almost 2 months last time and I came back here, like on 3 or 4 different instances, people that I met at like events and stuff, like they're for some reason assumed that I was from LA, you know? And I remember asking this one girl, like, why did you think I was from LA? And she was like, you just seem like you're from LA, just like have an LA vibe. And I was like, damn, okay. Whatever that means, but I'll take it. LA Silo's here in Toronto then.
Solo never left. Yeah.
Exactly. LA Silo never left. It's like Tyler Durden, you know, the cooler version of me, just like embodying more. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a lot of fans in Bangkok and Jakarta. Would you ever do an Asian tour?
I
Southeast.
would love to. I would love to. I love Thailand. I love Bangkok. Um, yeah, I would love to do that for sure. I would never say no.
Hmm.
Fly me out there. Let's go.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Because you have mentioned that in previous interviews that you have traveled there before. Um, But on the connected note, what is your thought on 88 Rising?
I think they're really cool. I think they really are representing American Asians in the best way possible. Yeah, just like they're definitely pioneers in their own right. And yeah, I'm completely for them. It's another thing if you ask me if I would ever want to be signed to them. I think I'd rather be a trailblazer in my own way. But I do respect them and I would love to do shows with them, of course. But like for me to like, I just don't really see Sylo Nozra being signed to like 88 Rising. I don't know. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Not really.
Yeah.
I don't think I fit in that world. Like I'm just outside of that lane, you know. I feel like I fit more into like the Asians who are being signed to like London labels like Peggy Goo with Ninja Tune and like Park Hee-jin, you know, Park Hee-jin, that's how you say it in Korean, I think. But like these artists that are like being signed to like the London labels and like European labels, you know, like that are coming out of Berlin and like Paris and whatever. Like I think I feel like I would fit in more in that lane rather than like the American 88 side of it. Even like seeing like Anders, you know, like I could see Anders being signed to 88.
Yeah, he was on a show. I think the Ijima guy couldn't show up. Not Ijima. Keith Abe couldn't show up.
Yeah.
So he was there. I was there, and
Oh, cool.
we didn't know who he was. We didn't know who he was, Anders.
Anders?
Yeah, and then once I work in the industry, like
it seems like he's almost got like a cult following in Toronto, but it doesn't seem like he's very well known outside, as like to my knowledge so far. Like when I go to like LA or whatever, I don't know, he's never like come up in conversations and stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, he's doing really well here and he's always on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, seeing him on billboards downtown and stuff and like posters, and you know, that's dope. But I could definitely see him like being part of that like 88 family. But like I don't know, just the music and like what I represent and like just the aesthetic that I'm sort of more leaning towards, it's not really in that world. It's not really in that bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm for a long time I wanted to work with them and seemed like a dream. But now like I don't know, like I guess like I'm not sure what the direction is anymore. They're holding on, like Joji and Brian haven't put out a lot of stuff, so it's like I'm trying to see what their direction is, but it's a pretty big for us, just like
I know they're huge in China too, you know, like a lot of their fan base is in China. I know that, which is really cool because that's a huge untapped market in my opinion from the West going east, you know. And I think that's like something that I really want to be a part of, is being one of the first or like earliest artists that are Asian in America, in Canada, that are going east instead of the east coming to the west, you know. Like I really want to be a part of that, and that's really cool because like at heart, like yes, my face and my blood, my flesh and blood is Korean, but like man, I am so not. Like my mentality, my paradigm, everything is just like it started on Western foundation, you know. It really did. So yeah, I would feel like a fraud if I like went to Korea and became like a K-pop star, and you know, even if I learned Korean perfectly and stuff, like I just wouldn't have it in me to do that.
Yeah.
Like when I watch K-dramas, it's like this is like so fobby. Like I love it. It's super fun and cute, but like I can never act like that. Or like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally get that. My parents want me to. They finally started watching YouTube, and they're like, "Yeah, make some Chinese YouTube videos." I'm like, "Can the market is there? The views will be great." But I'm like, I'm really not. I don't connect to it anymore. Like it's just
Mm.
really not me anymore. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's in a way, I totally with you on that. Yeah.
Mm. I
Um,
love cooking, Chinese cooking TikTok and YouTube.
oh, those really aesthetic.
When they're like, yeah, cooking stuff, like that little, like literally like 4-year-old baby, like cooking gourmet dishes. Have you seen that? Oh my gosh. And he's just like folding the dumplings perfectly in his little hands. And it's like everyone's just like dumbfounded. It's like a small person or a baby, but it's a baby. He's like literally 4 years old, like a toddler,
Mhm.
making Chinese gourmet dishes in like the mountains, over like a like literal like coal fire, not even a stove. Like,
Yeah, there's some. It's a whole universe. It's a whole.
yeah, a
The whole
lot of people suspect that it's like Chinese propaganda, because China owns
oh,
TikTok, like a Chinese company, and like everyone that those kind of videos always show up on everyone's algorithm no matter what, because they're definitely like embedded in there.
mhm.
They're definitely just like sliding in people's TikTok DMs, TikTok algorithms, and they're just like seeing this stuff, and it's like, come to China, or like, we're not that bad. Communist Party ain't that bad, like it works. I don't know, not to get too political, but like, who knows what the agenda is, but it definitely feels propaganda-ish to me.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
and there's like straight up propaganda too, like very open, very clearly orchestrated. Just
Yeah.
like Chinese girls saying something about the American dream, like you can tell it's like there's some very obvious ones, and then there's your 4-year-old making like incredible food. Like I don't know, I just think
Yeah.
everything
Or
is.
that really pretty girl in like the countryside who's like
Oh yeah,
making a bed from scratch and like for her grandma. It's like, is she really making that from scratch?
those pretty girls there, you look at their family and like they don't look anything like her. I'm like,
Yeah, that's so crazy.
yeah,
Wow. Are you from mainland or like
yeah,
your family? Were you
mainland.
born there?
Yeah, we came here in '04.
Oh, nice. What kind, or like what province are you from?
Uh, so right beside Beijing, Tianjin. So,
Oh, Tianjin. I know Tianjin, yeah.
oh yeah, how do you know? No one knows.
Oh, I know the provinces. My
Oh,
favorite is Langzhou,
oh, okay.
the
I've
noodle.
only been to Hangzhou.
Oh,
Um,
okay, cool.
yeah.
Maybe that's where my family's from, the Han Dynasty. I don't know,
Oh, okay.
because my last name's Han.
Ah, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Uh,
though my 23andMe says that I'm 90% Korean,
mm,
10% Japanese.
hmm,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I think we're all related somehow.
Mhm.
I like the East Asians. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of Mongol, a lot of Mongol.
Exactly. It's the Mongolian blood for sure. Definitely.
So okay. Switching gears again.
Yeah. Sorry, like going
We could
around.
talk like we could yeah, like we could like talk and talk, and
Yeah.
I don't know, like
Just shooting
yeah,
the shit,
like
man.
we'll like text me or something. Like I didn't know how busy you were. Um yeah.
No, let's do it. I like this. Yeah.
Yeah, we could make, because I'm a rambler. When I actually talk to people,
Good.
I fire off and overshare. Yeah.
Good. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it when it gets personal.
Oh yeah.
Let's get personal.
Yeah. I think we'll have a good future or something.
Okay.
So going to Jenny and Citrus live rent free in my head, and Spirits, your new
Nice.
single, is
Yeah.
about. What's the story behind Spirits?
Thank you, man. Spirits it all was written around the time when I wrote Citrus and Ginny. They all kind of live in the same family. Too bad they're not on an album together, and they won't be, because like the album that I'm working on is going to be a completely new project. But I think they would at least fit on some sort of project together, because they all came from a place where I felt really toxic as a person in my relationships, and I felt like I was really coming to terms with that. And I was in a place where I really wanted to face my demons. I wanted to purge myself of all my tendencies that are selfish, that are egocentric, that were greedy, self-serving. There's nothing wrong with self-serving if it's for self-love, but in this sense, it was not in a healthy way. It was a lot of, and I was attracting that kind of energy into my life, the people that I was seeing, people I was dating. So a lot of those songs were just like dealing with that toxic energy. And that when I was writing, it was sort of just embodying that spirit. That was really what was really just taking up my time and my energy, was just like, while I'm trying to be this meditating being and this person who's looking for the light in their own way, I'm dealing with these people who are taking me back and kind of dragging me down. And, I really wanted to get out of that cycle. So those slew of songs sort of came from that place where it was like, I think Spirits is going to be my last song. Why Are You Back was in that sort of same sphere of like the pushing and pulling of someone that you want to like end things with, or Citrus is like, the frustration that comes with dating someone who doesn't always agree or has their own insecurities that can ruin the moment and like the relationship in a lot of ways because of, what I do as an artist, like feelings of like blind jealousy and, just stuff like that. It's just like, why are you so sour? You know what I mean? And Spirits is in that same lane of like, that was like the ending note. Spirits was the ending note to that whole saga, I guess. It's really, really putting the end to it. And like, like in the bridge, like after the chorus, got this pain in my chest but I'm cutting these loose ends. It hurts to really let go of the things and the people in your life that are holding you back. So this was like that final ode to them. I was just like, it hurts me and I don't want to, because this is what I know, this is what I'm comfortable with, but I know that I have to like cut this loose. Like in the very end, like the outro bridge, it's like, baby, we had Eden, we had everything, but I tried honestly to keep my head above water. Like we tried, but like this is where we finish it. And now I'm on to bigger, I wouldn't say better, but bigger things that don't really concern me as an individual, but more going towards us as a whole. But that's for a discussion later on. But yeah, that was sort of like the end of that era with Spirits. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said you were in album mode. I guess you're just what step of the album mode are you on right now?
Just writing and like conceptualizing and working with Martin and the graphic artists that I started working with to really start compiling and conceptualizing what this next project is going to be about, and really trying to hone it. Yeah, really trying to refine it and get it to a point where it's like, this is a product that we have, shed blood, sweat, and tears over. Because I've never really done that. Everything that I've done up to this point has kind of been like laying the bricks in front of me as I'm walking, instead of building that road and then walking on it after I've like seen it as a whole and like appreciate it and then present it to the world. I've never really put in that like extra 10% to the real pre-production, which makes projects so great and timeless, is like the thought put into them. And like, I've never really done that. I've always kind of been like a vibe guy, just catching the vibe, and it pertains to who I am as a person now, so let's just put it out. And that's sort of been like my model. And now I'm in a place where I'm mature as a writer, I'm mature as an artist, I'm mature as a person. And I want to really put my time and effort into something that like I can pinpoint when I look back on it in my life as like, this is what this represented. This project is what represented me at the time as a person. And it's like, wow, like this is for my own sort of memory, you know, my own memory archives, you know, other than like for the world, I can't have that mindset. You know, it's really, this has got to be for me. There's got to be something that like I've really put in the time and effort. Because like as a student, as an academic student in school, like I hardly got by. I did the bare minimum. You know, that's what I'm used to.
Mhm.
Exactly, man. So you know, like that's what I'm used to, and I've never in my life like really put in the effort to like a project that really encapsulates me at the time of what I'm feeling and what I'm going through, like truly onto paper. I kind of just go through it just like everyone else, and it becomes part of you. You keep living, c'est la vie, you know, whatever. But yeah, for this next project, like I really want to do that. I really want to create this cohesion and this consistency that is me, that is truly me and wholly me. And as little as possible, try to get influence from, you know, other artists or other people or, you know, from Instagram, whatever, like really trying to be conscious that I don't get distracted by those things. Because in this day and age, as an artist, as a creative, or as just anyone who's trying to be productive, we are in an era where like we're at an age where information and tutorials and knowledge is so ready at hand, but also at the same time, so are the other sides of that, the temptations, the vices, the distractions. You know, we really are living in a day and age where you could literally choose to be a genius or you can choose to be an idiot, you know? And like, it might not feel like a choice, but it really is a choice, you know? When you're choosing to go to Instagram the first thing in the morning when you get up, instead of like reading a book like they did in like, I don't know, 30 years ago, because there was nothing else back then.
The internet was slow. Yeah.
Exactly. Like shit was boring, but like that was when people were making the greatest art because there really was nothing else to do. You know, and the people who are living in this day and age, in our lifetimes, who are making the greatest art, they are living that lifestyle. They're not going on Instagram like whenever they get the chance to, whenever taking a shit, or like going on TikTok whenever they're like waiting for their takeout or whatever, you know, like they're thinking ideas. They're like, what can I think of next? What can I create next? You know, like those are the greats that are living in this day and age. So like you need to get on that frequency. You need to get on that channel. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do. Sorry if it sounds so preachy, but like this is like what I'm going through day in, day out, of like trying to pep talk myself and motivate myself and like sort of pivot, always pivoting when I'm catching myself doing the wrong thing. Not the wrong thing, but like doing the thing that is not leading me into the reality that I want to manifest for myself, you know? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good that you thought about it. Yeah. I'm at a previous stage of that, but it's good that you're there.
You're on your own stage, man. You're on your own.
Yeah.
You're literally on your own stage. You're literally your own star actor, your director, your writer, your screenwriter. Like it's all on you, you know? And whatever your phase that you say you're in, that's all part of the journey. It's all like you're watching your own movie play out. And like there's no hurry in that. You know, you want it to never end. At least you should feel like you want it to never end, you know? Because that's what a good movie is. That's what a good piece of art is that you never want it to end. So like be that, you know? And yeah, it's easy to like say, oh, like I'm in a previous stage where I'm, you know, you're there, I'm here. And it's good to compare, but never feel like you're subpar or better, you know? Yeah, because it really is your own movie, you know? The only harshest critic is yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to end things on well, this is very recent. Like when I see a show or something, I want them to end on top. Like, okay, this is really, really, really good. Okay, I don't want them to do 7 seasons. I don't want them to like really fall off. I just want to end on top. That's what but that's like very recent, and that might not even be how I approach life. But yeah, that's like
On a subconscious level, that might be though. You know,
Yeah.
I love the story of the underdog.
Mhm.
That's my favorite. You know, Rocky, whatever. Like, it shows a montage of them being weak, but then they like start practicing and they start getting stronger or smarter or whatever, and they come on top at the end. I love those stories, the stories of metamorphosis, you know, when they're truly go from the person that they hate themselves to be to the person that like they've always were meant to be, you know. Like, I love those stories. And I think subconsciously, you know, we relate to that. We relate to that as people, as viewers, as consumers. Like, we relate to that so much. So yeah, I've always seen myself as an underdog, and I love that. Whenever I watch basketball games or like UFC fights, I'm always going for the underdog.
Yeah, same.
Exactly. Because that makes a better show, honestly. You never want it to be predictable, you know?
You watch Formula One?
No, but I love that show on Netflix, F1 or whatever. Yeah,
You remember Alexander Albon?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
He was the underdog of underdogs last year. He's got essentially eliminated from the sport. He's still driving, but essentially he was eliminated. But there's many underdogs, but that was an underdog. It was a painful season. Like he didn't even do badly, but like the same in the same way. Yeah, I don't like the Lakers, the LeBron Lakers. Like when they're going crazy and super team, like
Exactly. That's why the Raptors win was so satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, that was so powerful and symbolic on so many levels. You know, for us as a city, for them as a league, everything. Like the individuals on that team, their stories. Like for me, I really resonate with Fred VanVleet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just his story, where he came from, the broken home that he came from. Like I relate to that on so many levels, and like just seeing how much he's triumphed and how much he's mastered himself as a person and his skill and his prowess. Like I want to achieve that, you know?
Yeah.
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 It's awesome. Yeah, dude.
Ask some of my questions. What are your this is like, okay, I'll just do the proper like I won't just like hang up, but I'll do the proper like sign off. So
Outro, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man. I enjoyed this nonetheless. It was awesome talking to you.
This is a dream interview, dream artist, low-key man crush, not gonna lie.
Dude.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to you again for a long time, and Sylo Nozra. In my head, it was been Sylo Nozra for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of people think that too. Yeah. That's why I might just go by Sylo.
Yeah. Incredible, easiest guest ever, easiest person to talk to.
Oh man.
Hopefully lifelong friend or something. And
hopefully you don't have to hope that. Come on.
Manifest it.
Yeah. We're here. Let's go. We talked. We shared time and space together. Let's go. You know, let's continue.
Yeah, man. So I'll probably
and hopefully when this is all over, like we'll be able to actually like hang out and chill, you know, get your vaccine soon, and I'll try to get mine, and we'll go for drinks and stuff, whatever. If you ever come to LA too, you know.
All right, man.
Let's make it happen.
Studio One.